Congratulations and thank you. I'm going to be talking about intracameral antibiotics for postoperative endophthalmitis. And post-cataract surgery endophthalmitis is one of the most dreaded complication. And although there has been a decrease in incidence from 1 to 0.05 to 0.1% over the last decade, but it still continues to be there. And the incidence ranges from 0.05 to 0.1%. Important thing is that it leads to poor visual outcomes, and permanent severe vision loss can occur in about 1/3 of the cases. And there are organisms which are responsible for it. Most commonly, the coagulase negative staph, Staph aureus, Streptococci, gram-negative bacteria, Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and fungi. And in India, if you see, gram-negative infections are most common, followed by fungal infections. Now, prevention is better than cure, and to prevent endophthalmitis, there are various measures which can be taken, which include preoperative topical antibiotics, povidone iodine instillation in conjunctival sac can be put for 5 minutes, a use of intraoperative intracameral antibiotics and postoperative topical antibiotics as well. And there are various types of antibiotics which can be used, such as fluoroquinolones, aminoglycosides, cephalosporins, or chloramphenicol. And the route of administration could be topical, intraocular, subconjunctival, or oral, and the timing of antibiotics could be pre-op, intra-op, peri-op, and post-op. Preoperatively, I think it goes without saying that you have to start antibiotics at least 1 day before, and the written informed consent should be taken. And during the surgery, one should prevent any leaks that can occur, and topical fluoroquinolones are instilled in the conjunctival sac, as well as intracameral antibiotics. Some people give it to all cases and some give it to complicated cases only. Now, if you look at the role of intracameral antibiotics, it has been studied since long. 2007, 30% of the responders, as per the ASCRS endophthalmitis prophylaxis survey, used intracameral antibiotics, which increased to 50% in 2014. And in 2014 itself, 84% respondents, they said that they will use it if it is an approved formulation. At that time, it was not approved formulation. Now, the rationale for use is that the AC contamination will be less and intraocular bacterial contamination would be much less. And direct intracameral injection of the antibiotic achieves high concentration persisting for longer duration compared to the topical use. Now, there are various antibiotics which have been used: cefuroxime, moxifloxacin, vancomycin, and cefazolin. And cefuroxime is the second generation cephalosporin gram-negative bacteria. Moxifloxacin is the fourth generation fluoroquinolone with gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria. And vancomycin is, of course, for gram-positive bacteria. And cefazolin is the first generation cephalosporin. In the ESCA study, they used cefuroxime, and it was a large multicentric trial which involved 16,603 patients, and there was a 5.8-fold decrease in the rate of culture-positive endophthalmitis, and they strongly supported the intracameral use of cefuroxime. The only problem was that it was not commercially available, and one had to prepare it. So these were the concerns which were there, and also subsequently there was resistance which was seen at least in our Indian data to the gram-negative isolates. Vancomycin is something also which has been used, but the only concern was risk of hemorrhagic occlusive retinal vasculitis. And this is a paper which is demonstrating the same, which has been shown that it can occur. And so people gave up the use of vancomycin. Moxifloxacin, on the other hand, is a fourth generation fluoroquinolone which has dose-dependent bactericidal activity and remains bactericidal for much longer duration than cefuroxime. And has reduced susceptibility to the emergence of bacterial resistance. And this is just to show that the bactericidal levels are maintained for a longer duration of time. So they would be maintained even up to 4 hours at clinically administered doses following the intracameral injection. And in vitro comparative models have also shown that moxifloxacin is the only antibiotic which is active against Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And this is something which is the commonest in our country, and so it has a role to play. Vancomycin and cefuroxime are ineffective against Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Now, these are the studies to show, retrospective studies, all of them non-randomized, to show that intracameral moxifloxacin works. This was done in 1 lakh patients, which showed 4-fold decrease in the endophthalmitis. And this was done in 6 lakh patients, which showed 3.5-fold decrease in MSICS and 6-fold decrease in phacoemulsification. And this is a study from Japan on 15,000 eyes, which showed that there was a 3 times decrease in endophthalmitis. Importantly, this study showed that there were no AC reactions or endothelium compromise or corneal thickness did not show any change when intracameral moxifloxacin was used. Again, this looked at the safety of the prophylactic intracameral moxifloxacin and was found to be safe with no significant difference in terms of endothelial cell loss, cell counts, or corneal pachymetry, or corneal clarity, or edema. Now, this study again looked at a huge number of eyes and it showed that it decreases the endophthalmitis rate by 7 times. More importantly, in cases where the rents had occurred, the rate was significantly decreased to 0.18%. Now, we did a survey of All India Ophthalmological Society to understand how our members were using intracameral moxifloxacin, and 4,292 people responded to this survey with a response rate of 30.2%. And we found that it was similar in decision for pre and post-operative antibiotics and intracameral antibiotics. But instead of the intracameral antibiotics, the AIOS members were using more often subconjunctival antibiotic. And I think that really has no role or minimal role. And so we would advocate use of intracameral antibiotics as opposed to subconjunctival antibiotics. And this is just to compare the ASCA survey and the AIOS survey. Notice that this is much less as compared to what the ASCA survey is, and our subconjunctival use is much higher. Now, this study did a meta-analysis between cefuroxime, moxifloxacin, and vancomycin for cataract surgery, and there were 17 studies which were included in this. And they showed that the endophthalmitis rate did decrease, and there was no difference in efficacy between intracameral plus topical antibiotics versus intracameral alone. So from the safety point of view, it should be given because there are no toxicity issues at all. Now, we did this randomized controlled study, which is the first ever, I think, which is there. Even ASCRS had planned to do this study, but could not because of the funding problem. And we are thankful to CIPLA for sponsoring this study, the prospective evaluation of intracameral moxifloxacin for prevention of post-cataract surgery endophthalmitis. The 2 centers were RP Center for Ophthalmic Sciences and Sadhguru Netra Chikitsalaya, Chitrakoot, and we are thankful to them. So in group 1, we are doing routine phaco followed by intracameral injection of moxifloxacin, and in group 2, we are only doing phacoemulsification. In RP Center, we've recruited 6,000 patients, and in Chitrakoot, they have recruited 1,500 patients. And our objective is to see whether it is effective or not, and also to see the effect on the endothelium. So the mean age of our patients in both the groups, the gender, the type of the cataract is well matched. The preoperative factors, if you see in terms of visual acuity, intraocular pressure, endothelial cell density, central corneal thickness is also matched. And so is also the various other parameters which may affect the outcome in terms of infection postoperatively, that is the incision size, the incision type, the location, the IOL optic, and the IOL haptic. Now, if we look at our results in terms of posterior capsular rupture, also our cohort is well matched. And these are our post-operative results. You see there is hardly any difference between the 2 groups where moxifloxacin is given and where it is not given. And overall, the number of cases with endophthalmitis was only 1 in each group, and there were no ocular or systemic adverse events seen with intracameral moxifloxacin use as of now. So this is just an interim analysis. And so we conclude from this study and also otherwise also that proper protocols need to be followed for operation theater, patient screening and precautions, operation theater preparation, preoperative, intraoperative, and post-operative antibiotics. And we do realize that although intracameral moxifloxacin is important tool to prevent endophthalmitis, but cannot substitute for the breach of the protocols that can occur in any of these steps. So these cannot be ignored at all. So we do need to follow protocols and use intracameral moxifloxacin to prevent endophthalmitis and the loss of the eye. So thank you very much for your kind attention. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to take them.